It is the Steve Malzberg Show on a Friday evening, and I am J.D. Hayworth at the National News Desk of Newsmax TV because I'm tag teaming it with my pal Steve Malzberg as we're about to have a new Newsmax New York. Steve Areno, good to see you tonight. Thanks for telecommuting in again via Skype. And as this busy week comes to a close, what's on your mind tonight, Steve?
Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for everything. I know it's double duty for you and your staff, and I know it's not easy. And I know as much as you love me, you have your own show, and I really do appreciate what you've done for me and the audience. So thank you very much, JD. I always love working with you, and your staff has been great. First of all, we have a new email scandal. We have a new email scandal. The FBI, or should I say the Clinton campaign, reportedly has now been hacked. We find out that the FBI warned the Clinton campaign people in the spring that this was happening, and they asked for cooperation, and the Clinton campaign said, no, we're not going to cooperate with you. Gee, doesn't that sound familiar, JD?
Mm-hmm. You know, you hear this stuff, and you just kind of wonder, what on earth is going on? What are these people thinking? Are they thinking they have some criminal exposure, some legal exposure? Are they setting stuff out like, boy, I hate to use this analogy, but remember when we were kids, you leave out a snack for Santa on Christmas Eve? I'm sorry, the mind, all these ideas start to creep in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we'll see where this leads. But let's talk about last night. You know, Bill Clinton told a fairy tale. Chelsea Clinton introduced her mother yesterday, and you got to hear this and watch this.
Every day that I spend as Charlotte and Aiden's mother, I think about my own mother. My wonderful, thoughtful, hilarious mother.
All right. So I tweeted out and posted on Facebook that Chelsea says her mom's hilarious. That's hilarious. Hilarious? Hillary is hilarious, JD?
Well, what I got a kick out of, and look, I don't know Chelsea. I kind of get the sense, even though she's a grown woman now and a mother of two and, an adult, I remember the younger Chelsea, and, you really can't choose your parents, but it did seem to be a little bit of overcoaching to get that little kind of half laugh when it's hilarious. It was just a little bit too rehearsed.
Gosh. No. And speaking of rehearsed, just like Bill said, all these years ago, I met this girl in the library, blah, blah, blah. Well, Hillary picked up on that in her speech yesterday.
And Bill, that conversation we started in the law library 45 years ago, it is still going strong. That conversation has lasted through good times that filled us with joy and hard times that tested us. And I've even gotten a few words in along the way.
All right, no wonder Donald Trump had 3 more million people watching his speech than Hillary had watching hers. That's a turnoff point right there. But I hope people stayed in, JD, and I want to get your take on this. She talked about fairly early in the speech really what this election is really all about.
I believe America thrives when the middle class thrives. I believe our economy isn't working the way it should because our democracy isn't working the way it should. That's why we need to appoint Supreme Court justices who will get money out of politics and expand voting rights, not restrict them. If necessary, we will pass a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United.
So JD, it really is all about the Supreme Court, because if it was just for 4 years, people could live with it, but it's going to be long lasting. Whoever is the president is going to have a long reach for the next 20, 30, 40 years.
Well, in a sense, Steve, we owe Mrs. Clinton a debt of gratitude because she didn't hide it. she made it very clear, as you said, the Supreme Court is of primary concern. But here's the other thing. When she starts talking about getting money out of politics, I got to tell, when I was serving in Congress, and back in those days she was First Lady, I used to say having President Clinton and the First Lady talk about campaign finance reform is akin to having Bonnie and Clyde holding a press conference at the height of their crime spree, demanding tougher penalties for bank robbery. There's just something that doesn't work there. Oh, listen, we want to get you in on the conversation. Yeah, you watching at home, 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. Brother Steve, continue if you please.
All right. Now you and I heard Hillary say this last night. I don't know how much Bill Clinton actually heard last night, because watch this.
We will disrupt their efforts online to reach and radicalize young people in our country. It won't be easy or quick, but make no mistake, we will prevail. Now, Donald Trump says, and this is a quote.
You look at that video, and you know what? And Tim Kaine is sitting there, and he's going, "Gee, do I kind of nudge President Clinton, or no? I'll move, and maybe the camera shot will follow me. After all, it's ABC. They don't want it to hurt the First Lady and the former president. But just in fairness, let me tell you, we should point out there are other times." Sometimes solemn occasions. For example, I believe it was President Reagan's funeral where President Clinton kind of dozed off. So I guess the key to staying awake is making sure that he's speaking and nobody else. But it was just to look at Tim Kaine's face was priceless right there.
Well, you know, when you're busy counting money all day, I guess you get a little tired. Now, Donald Trump spoke today, JD, and he said a lot. He said, no more Mr. Nice Guy. The gloves are going to come off. They chanted, lock her up. And he said, yeah, you know, in the past I've said, don't say that, but now I'm with you. But he also ripped CNN. CNN had apparently, according to Trump, misrepresented that he said he wanted to hit some of the speakers at the DNC. He meant figuratively, verbally, and he took them to task for that and for partying after the Hillary speech last night. We'll get to that later, but here is Donald Trump today.
So on CNN this morning, I see, on the bottom, Trump says he's going to hit speakers. I mean, they are so dishonest. I'm going to hit speakers. Ay. That's why we have to win, right? That's why we have to win. I'll tell you, CNN is really, they call it the Clinton News Network. It's really a dishonest group of people.
Yeah, and as we'll show later, JD, we have Wolf Blitzer. It's funny. I was watching 1:30 in the morning, and I saw they came back from a commercial break. Don Lemon is leading the chant, leading them in singing. There were revelers in the CNN grill where the show was coming out of, and they're singing Sweet Caroline. And Don Lemon stands up, the host of the show, out of a commercial break, and he's leading the singing. And then they focus on Wolf Blitzer with a drink in his hand in the crowd. I tweeted it out. I Facebook posted it. And today it was the lead on Drudge. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, can you?
Wolfie. Well, it's interesting. I guess CNN looking for all sorts of opportunities away from television news and opening their own chain of grills in certain major metropolitan areas may be an answer. Hey, Steve, let's go to the phones back in my old stomping grounds, out to Prescott Valley, Arizona. That's where Cindy has been waiting patiently. Hi, Cindy. Hello, Cindy.
Yes.
Hey, there you are, Cindy. How are you?
Just fine. How are you?
Great, thanks.
Good. Are we on?
You are on with JD and Steve. Yes.
Wonderful. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi. Listen, I was going to ask if I understand the word is going around that if Hillary should win the presidential vote, that she's going to appoint President Obama to the Supreme Court.
Well, nothing would surprise me, Cindy, but And again, I have no faith in our Republican Senate, but I would hope they would block him because of his trampling of the Constitution. His administration was shot down 13 times unanimously in cases that came before the U.S. Supreme Court, not to mention his unconstitutional executive order. So I don't see how, if the Republicans, and here's the funny part, if the Republicans have any care for anything constitutional, how they could ever approve him. But JD, they let him get away with everything up to this point, so nothing would shock me.
Well, again, understand, they would sit back and say, I can just hear some of the people I know in the U.S. Senate saying, well, the president has a right to appoint whomever the president wants. And if Barack Obama goes on the Supreme Court, I sympathize with what Cindy is telling us here. Can you imagine, because you just chronicled how he's run roughshod over the Constitution, and to give the left a majority for the next generation, boy, that would be bad news. Cindy, thanks for the call. Let's go to Milford, Ohio now, with about a minute and a half remaining in this portion of our program. Larry is on the line. Good evening, Larry.
Oh, hi there, JD. It's nice talking to you. By the way,
you.
it's McClure, Ohio.
How did I get Milford down here? I stand corrected. McClure, Ohio.
McClure, Ohio, and I am a veteran.
Well, bless you. Thanks for your service, Larry.
God bless you.
Thank you. I enjoy watching you guys almost every night. And okay, I've been watching last week, this week. I watched the conventions, and there sure is a big difference between day and night between the two. It was really enjoyable to watch 44 saying that Hillary was more qualified than he was. If she was more qualified than he was, then why wasn't she elected 8 years ago?
Well,
I mean, it's like he shot himself in the foot to basically say that he was not qualified.
yeah, but now it's a moot point because he's got the job, and you know what? He can be magnanimous now since apparently it's been decided that Hillary is the heiress apparent. Steve, 15 seconds, your final thought.
No, you're absolutely right. And look, we got 102 days left now, JD. Get ready for the roller coaster ride of our lifetime.
Hey, and we're just having a roller coaster ride right here getting started. There is more ahead, including Michael Reagan on the Steve Malzberg Show.